from the Northeast Georgia Business RadioX studio, it's The Bottom Line with Jacqueline Sheldon. Maximize your return on investment by reducing your tax bill. Get ready for the best tax talk you've ever had. Presented by Bottom Line Tax Solutions. Hello, Jacqueline.
Hi, Tom.
How are you?
I am doing great. How are you?
I am fantastic.
That's awesome.
I'm always fantastic. What are we going to talk about in this episode? The folks, the crowd, gathering around their iPhones or something.
Anxiously awaiting for this episode's
What are
topic.
these two going to talk about? Beauty and the Beast. If anyone else calls you Beast, I will rip their lungs out.
Great.
What are they going to talk about? What do you want to talk about? So, folks, what do you want to talk about?
I'll tell you what, there's enough references to...
If everyone catches these references, I'm going to buy you lunch.
Okay.
There's a couple people excluded from that because they will.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, so, what I want to talk about is probably something that everybody's sick of hearing about, and that is the 2024 presidential election.
Oh, the election cycle has come to an end.
Yes, and, when I was in studio back, I guess it's been a couple months ago, we talked a lot about how the presidential election could potentially impact tax planning. And at the time, it was really hard for tax professionals to be able to plan with their clients because a lot hinged on the outcome of this election. That if candidate A won, this is what
we can call
looking
them
at.
by their names.
Or if candidate B won, then this is what we were looking at. Well, in this case...
I think it was like candidate A and candidate C, actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, candidate B was told to go home. Take your ball if you can find it and recognize it and go home.
Okay. Well, okay. I guess we can go down that road.
Well, it happened. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
It did happen.
Whether you love the guy or hate the guy, it was totally wrong what they did to him. That's a whole different episode.
That is a whole different episode.
Hey, we're done with you. Go away. We don't like you anymore. Thanks, but no thanks. Sorry.
Well, the impending election, like I said, made it extremely difficult for us as tax professionals to work with our clients and be able to advise them because we didn't know what the outcome of the election would be and how that would impact the tax laws. Well, now that we're beyond the election and we know who won, go ahead. I'm waiting for you to say, and by a landslide, but anyway.
I think it was a landslide. Well, I try to avoid politics here in the studio, right? This is a business studio.
It is a business studio.
But call it what it is. All these so-called swing states, and honestly, I don't know what the definition of a swing state is. It's what the media dictates.
Right.
But President Trump won all the swing states.
Right. And it was kind of a surprise to a lot of people.
Well, technically, to me, that's a landslide.
Yes. I agree with you in that case.
There are some states you're not going to win. There are some states you're going to win.
Well, the thing that surprised me is how quickly we had the outcome of the election. I figured it would take days, if not weeks, to get the final
2-3 days.
numbers.
It took a few hours. 2:00 in the morning Eastern time. We knew.
Right. That we had the results a lot faster, and I think that was because of the quote-unquote landslide. I mean, it was nowhere close at that point.
Do we just need to go down to the Capitol and pat old Brad Raffensperger on the back saying, good job here in Georgia there, Brad?
Okay.
No?
No.
Okay.
So anyway, let's get back on topic here.
Sorry, we're on topic.
The election obviously now is over, and that's going to help us as tax professionals to be able to work with our clients and better advise them on what they need to do.
Right.
Obviously, we were watching the outcome of the election because we knew that there would be tax changes regardless of who won.
Really, regardless?
Regardless, yep. Because they each had different tax policies, different tax platforms they were running on. So we knew there would be changes, but what exactly were those changes going to be?
But now the Trump tax whatever from 4 years ago, 8 years ago, his first term, those are still in place, but those were expiring.
Those were supposed to expire at the end of 2025. So the end of next year
is 25, okay.
is when they were set to expire. So we were looking to see who won the election to kind of see what happened with that.
Odds are he's not going to let his own initial changes expire.
Well, here's the problem.
Oh, there's a problem?
No, there's always a problem.
Oh, wow.
Steve Scalise, the House Majority Leader.
Yes.
He was interviewed, and he was talking about the fact that in the first 100-day agenda that presidents always put together.
That's May 1st, by the way.
That their first,
you know that?
Is it May 1st?
It is.
Well,
it's
there
the
you go.
Best day of the year.
There you go.
Sorry.
Well, the number one thing that they're looking to pass is a budget reconciliation bill. Okay.
Of course.
Part of that budget reconciliation bill according to Steve Scalise, is to try to get the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions back reinstated. So basically the President Trump tax law back reinstated that's supposed to expire
They're
in
going to
2025.
try to make them permanent.
Well, they are, but there's a problem with that, as I mentioned earlier. Budget reconciliation process, you can't increase the federal deficit more than the budget window. If they reinstate all of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions, I think they said $4.6 trillion is what it will cost the government to reinstate all of these in tax money. They can't do that through budget reconciliation because they would be increasing the federal budget.
So they just
deficit.
passed legislation to increase the budget deficit.
Well, they can't do that through the reconciliation process. So it's going to be much harder, number one, to get it through Congress. Number two, they're not going to be able to reinstate everything because of the budget. So they're going to have to pick and choose. So we're still kind of on edge to see which provisions get reinstated and which ones are let go, because it's all going to depend on the budget.
I'm with you on that. But now we have a whole new, we have some new appointments that are going to go in and totally just cut out all government waste.
That's what I'm hearing. Now let's see.
That's going to be interesting.
How much red tape there they can
Get
cut.
your popcorn, folks.
Exactly. I'm sitting there as you're saying that going, okay, yeah.
But I'm serious.
I know. We'll see what happens.
And that deficit's going to be tumbling down.
Well, then outside of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, you've got other tax promises that President Trump made when he was running. No tax on Social Security benefits.
Which I'm 110% for.
I am 110% for, because we pay tax on that money.
It's your money.
When we earn it.
And they use it interest-free sometimes for 50 years.
Right. So we've already paid tax on that money. It was withheld out of our paychecks, or we paid it in as part of our estimated tax payments if we're self-employed. Mm-hmm. We've paid tax on that money. We didn't get a deduction for that.
Right.
So we shouldn't have to pay tax when that money comes back out from Social Security. So I'm all for that.
Yes.
He's also talked about eliminating tax on overtime.
I like that.
And tax on tips.
I love that.
I don't like either of those, but
Wow.
we won't get into that conversation.
See, folks, what I have to deal with?
I don't think that it's fair.
Nothing is fair. Nothing in life is fair.
I think you are giving preferential treatment to certain people, and I don't think the tax law should do that. And I know it does. It gives preferential treatment for different things, such as tax credits and here and there, but I don't necessarily agree with those provisions.
That's a whole different episode. See, I would quickly disagree with you on that.
But
special interest. Wow. Okay.
Are you done?
No, I'm not. I'm speechless because I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't want to go off topic completely. But
yeah, well,
people tend to get benefits breaks on their tax return because they have a bunch of kids.
Yes, and that's what
I never had children.
I know.
I never got a bunch of are they credits? I don't even know what they
Yes.
are. I had an employee in my past life. He had a bunch of children. Honestly, he's one of the worst parents you've ever seen in your life, and I know all about bad parents. Mm-hmm. Every year, the first day he could get his tax return done, he was leaving work early, and the next day he would come and, I'm not kidding you, get in my face to tell me how much money he got back because he had a house full of kids that he treated like dirt.
Yep.
So don't be about getting special privileges.
Well, but I'm still saying that that's not the way it should be.
It shouldn't be.
Regardless. Okay. So if I'm a salaried employee at a restaurant and I make $1,000 a week, and the person working beside me is hourly at a restaurant, they're getting paid $2.15 an hour.
Yeah.
And then everything else is tips. They make $1,000 a week. They're only paying tax on $2.15 an hour, and I'm having to pay tax on my full salary, even though we're both working in the restaurant.
In theory, those receiving overtime and those who are making a living on tips are working their tails off. And I'm not saying they're working harder or less than someone else. That's not what I said. They're still working their tails off.
Right, but the person in the kitchen that's paid salary and is not getting tipped out, or the dishwasher
they need to
who's
step
washing
up
the dishes.
to waiting tables.
I don't know that I agree with that, but that's
like
me.
it. But I'm a fan of everyone not paying taxes.
Oh, I know.
Regardless, and to me, you got to start it somewhere.
Okay. Well, I agree with no tax on Social Security. I would agree with that one all day. I don't know how I feel about the other two at this
That's
point.
where I leave my conservative roots for the moment and say, no one pay taxes.
I don't agree with those provisions. But either way, regardless,
Yes.
if those things get passed,
Yes.
and of course it's not up to just President Trump to wave a magic wand and these things come into play.
He has one, though.
That, yeah, I can imagine that he's going to have to get these things passed through Congress, and there again, budget's going to come back up. It's going to affect his ability to be able to pass some of the stuff. Now, I do understand he's talking about tariffs and raising tariffs on goods coming in from foreign countries, which should offset some of this.
Oh, it will. Quickly. Bigly.
There's still, bigly. There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle we're yet to see how this is going to come out, but it's not going to be quite as easy, I think, as people think it's going to be.
So I think it's going to be easy. My glass is always half full, you know that.
Yes, you're always very optimistic.
I am. All right, folks, we're going to take a real quick break. We're going to go back to our respective corners, spit in a bucket, and they're going to wipe our foreheads, and then we'll be back. Are you paying too much in taxes? Who isn't? Taxes are the highest expense small businesses face. Maximize your return on investment, reduce your tax bill. Tax planning and tax resolution strategies, the art of keeping more money you've worked hard for. Schedule your free tax planning consultation by visiting bottomlinega.com. That's bottomlinega.com. Jacqueline, we're back.
Yes, we are.
We're back. We're talking about President Trump's victory in the 2024 presidential election.
Yes.
And how that is going to impact taxpayers and your clients as you prepare their tax, planning going forward? Am I making words up?
Nope, that's correct.
Did I get it right?
You did.
Did I get the gold star?
You do. And I'll just mention one other quick thing before we close, and I think I'd talked to you about this maybe before as well, but I did a presentation for a networking group that I'm involved with, and we had taken two of my clients' 2023 tax returns and took the same numbers, and we went back and put them in the 2017 software, which was what the laws were before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Right.
And the amount of taxes that these two clients would pay in relation to what they paid with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provision was huge. And just one of them, just quick one, very simple return. It's S Corporation owner. He's W-2 employee of the S Corp. Single, doesn't itemize, a very simple return.
No children.
No children. His tax burden went from $10,000 in 2023 to, if we reverted back to the old law, over $16,000. So there was a 60% increase in taxes just by reverting back.
In 1 year.
So that shows you how much the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act has been able to save. And especially since I work with small business clients, and a lot of these provisions were set up to help small business owners, I see them being greatly impacted if these things are not put back into place.
It would be a tax hike.
It will be a tremendous tax hike for people.
And then that makes the dollar even smaller.
It does.
It basically it basically makes inflation rise.
It does.
Because you just simply don't have the money in your pocket anymore.
Right. Well, then, and when the business owner is having to pay more in taxes, and they're going to raise their prices to try to make up for that. So it all trickles down to customers.
There's a worse there's two worse solutions. One, they go out of business.
Right.
That's the big one. But the second, or the other one, is they start downsizing and getting rid of employees.
Right.
I've got $100 an hour to pay my employees. I could pay $5, $20 an hour. I could pay $10 an hour.
Right.
It's somewhere in the happy medium. Well, now I've only got $85 to pay my employees. I definitely, if they're expecting $20 an hour, I can only afford 4 of them.
Right.
One of them's gone.
Yep.
That's, there's one thing when eggs go at 50 cents a dozen. It's another when people start losing their jobs in grand scale.
Right. And that could potentially happen.
That's what you got to do. You got to protect the company.
Right. Because
I've been there.
A business owner's costs go up.
I only have so much money I can allocate to payroll.
They have to make it up somewhere.
Yeah.
So hopefully most of these provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will be reinstated But it's still yet to be seen. Like I said, we've got the whole budget issues they've got to work around. But I'm hoping to see that majority of them anyway get reinstated.
How are large corporations affected? Or how will they be? And I'm talking the big players.
Right. Now, large corporations, President Trump, under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, he reduced their tax rate to a flat 21%.
21%.
He has said while he was campaigning that he wants to reduce it down to 15%.
Right.
So larger corporations may actually get a bigger tax benefit if that passes. Several people have said, people in the know supposedly have said they don't think he can get it to 15. They might could get it down to 18 through Congress.
A good negotiator, if he wants 18, he's going to ask for 15.
Right. So we'll see how that happens. But under what President Trump campaigned under, he's looking to cut the tax rates for larger corporations, which is what he did under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act as well.
Bring them down further.
If he brings them down further, I mean, the whole thought process of that is if they're paying less taxes, then they will hire more people.
Well, he's just helping evil corporations get rich.
Yes.
I said that so sarcastically.
I know.
This is my sarcastic voice. Mm-hmm. Well, no, if corporations have more money on hand, they can employ more.
Right.
They can take risk to expand as in grow, which eventually is going to employ more.
Right.
And when companies, when all of them, but when the big fish, the big players, when they expand, they positively affect their communities all around them.
Right.
Because they take everyone with them.
Yep, that is true.
High tide, boom, all boats.
Right.
When SK Battery came to Jackson County, everyone around that area grew.
Right.
Down to the caterers.
That's true.
Doing caterings.
They impacted a lot of the community.
In a positive way.
In a positive way.
If you hamstring them paying taxes, and we're not talking about SK Battery, I'm talking just in general, you hamstring them in paying taxes, more and more taxes, and they're not going to be investing. Right. They can't.
Well, and someone once told me, someone that I knew quite well, that corporations don't pay taxes
I was
anyway.
about to say, Jacqueline, corporations do not pay taxes.
Nope, they don't, because what they end up doing is just they pass that extra cost along to the consumer by raising their prices.
They do. Let's pick on, well, we won't pick on anyone specifically. Let's say there is a soft drink manufacturer, the best one in the world. Could be somewhat local for us folks, right?
Yes.
They got a lot of red, okay? An amazing company, darn good company, do a lot for the communities, a lot for their employees. If they're suddenly hit, and I'm going to use simple numbers because I'm not too smart, if they know right off the bat they're going to pay at least another $50 million in taxes based on what they made last year. If they grow, it's more than that. They're not taking $50 million out of their pockets. They're going to raise the price on every bottle of drink, every can, every box, whatever it is they're selling. They're only going to raise it a nickel. Maybe a dime. They're not going to raise it a bunch of money, but they're going to raise it.
Right.
And every time you go buy that 12-pack or whatever it may be, an 8-pack of bottles, you're going to pay 20, 30 cents more every time you do it.
Right.
They're going to get that $50 million back.
And then you're going to find the size of the bottle or the can is actually smaller.
It's probably going to go down a little bit, yeah.
So the price is going up. The amount of product you're actually getting is going down.
Some shrinkage.
You can go back to President Biden and his bag of chips.
I don't want to talk about that. But seriously, corporations don't pay taxes.
Right. I said you've said that on many occasions.
I've said that since I was in diapers.
That they technically don't pay the taxes. That their customers pay the taxes.
It is built into their economic plan.
It is. It is.
So by all means, go after those evil corporations and see where it gets you. Did we talk about tariffs? You touched
briefly on tariffs.
Lightly on tariffs.
Right.
Are you a fan of tariffs?
I don't know for sure. I mean, the whole concept of tariffs makes sense in the fact that by raising tariffs on goods coming into the United States, he is making companies reconsider where they're doing business.
Yeah.
And, if they're having to pay tariffs to get their goods back into the country, maybe they won't move their manufacturing plants out of the country and have the cheaper labor there. So if they bring the manufacturing back into the United States and they hire more people here and they're again build and build the community because they are building plants here, I can see that having a positive impact. But we'll see where this goes. President Trump had mentioned at one time he would like to get rid of the federal tax system and go straight to tariffs. But unfortunately, the rate on tariffs would have to be so high to be able to cover the cost. I don't see that that's
you would isolate yourself.
I can't see that
That's
would be
never going to
feasible.
be passed.
You
That
can't
would
put 60-70% tariffs on stuff coming in to get rid of the tax system. So I don't agree with that as far as a replacement for the federal tax system.
With such a global economy, I don't think it's possible.
I don't think it's possible,
to be honest with you. But I have to say this. If you're going to put a tariff on something, you hit it hard. You don't just put a little 5-10%. You go bigly. And I mean that. Previous life, I had customers. My cost went up. I had to pay my employees more. Rent went up. Lord knows insurance went up. Cost of gasoline, products we used went up. I was told by someone much wiser than me a long time ago, if you have to raise your prices, do it somewhat significantly. Don't do it often.
Right.
You'll lose someone over $1.
Yep.
Okay? Build that into your price when you raise it. Hit it hard. Don't mess around. Make it substantial, just like a tariff.
Right.
Make it substantial.
Well, and what ends up happening there, you'll lose some customers over the rate increase, but the ones that you keep will more than make up for the revenue for the ones you lost. And
That's
you're actually
the idea.
Hopefully making the same money servicing less customers.
Right.
So it is kind of a filtering process sometimes.
Yeah. Not to get too political there, but
right.
A tariff is a tax, and it
does
is affect taxpayers. But if tariffs are raised, there's a limit. F-150s are made in Mexico, I do believe, still.
Right.
As amazing as those trucks are, I've owned a bunch of them. I bleed Ford blue. Everyone knows that. A truck that now costs $55,000, $60,000, if it's tariffed to death, no one's going to pay $100,000 for that same truck when there's close to an equivalent of a Chevrolet Silverado sitting on the lot next to it.
Right. Well,
it's just not going to happen.
Well, that's, I think, the whole thought process behind President Trump doing this is not so much as a revenue raiser, but to force companies to reconsider.
Bring their business back to America.
Where they are
It's
manufacturing.
Leverage.
Yeah, it's leverage.
It's leverage.
So it will be interesting to see how this plays out.
We'll do an episode on it in about a year. It'd be great.
Right. See where we
The
are
great
then.
tariff debate.
There you go.
And people getting no tax on tips.
Yes, and we'll see if you can change my mind between now and then.
I might be waiting tables a year from now. You never can tell.
You might be.
I might be.
There you go.
Jacqueline would kick me to the street.
I might.
Well, dearest, if we're done, we got a little political there, folks. Sorry, but it's all good banter. This is what dinner time at our house is like. It is. Anything else you'd like to say to the folks?
2025 ends up being a prosperous year for everyone.
With bigly gains.
Bigly gains.
Nice. Whoa, we're out. For more information on today's topic, reach out to Jacqueline and her tax professionals at Bottom Line Tax Solutions, 678-866-4048, or visit bottomlinega.com for all your tax planning, tax preparation, and tax problem-solving needs.